will pass through deep waters, but I will be with you. You will pass through rivers, but their waters will not sweep over you. You will walk through fire, but you will not be burned. Isaiah 43. On today's episode, Marcus Dennis, Brianna's Hope Greenfield facilitator, will lead the discussion with his guest Jessica Pickett from the Shelbyville Waldron chapter, and Jessica has a special guest, Emily, to discuss her battles with addiction. We hope you enjoy tonight's episode.
Every session, no matter where you meet, what county, how you go about your 2 hours you have together, we, as a put in the middle of our event session, like a pillar, Brianna's prayer. Brianna Marie DeBaptiste. This prayer was found in her personal writings. And I'm going to ask if you out there, some of you have it memorized, I know, some of you have it in front of you probably. But I'm going to see if Jessica will go ahead and read us that prayer, which really starts us off.
Please, Lord, look after me and my family. Please help me to do the right thing and to show people that I'm not a bad person, inside or out. And help me, Lord, to get through this disappointment again. And know I make mistakes, but who doesn't? I don't do it to do wrong. I do it because I feel I have no other choice. I want a better life, Lord, I do. Please help me. Do to me as what you feel is best. I surrender to you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. That's Brianna's prayer, and thank you for reading that. It's something that we intentionally put into all of our evening sessions, and we're glad to have you as a listening audience as we go about having that. So we're thrilled with that. So thank you for doing that. Again, if you have some questions, observations, or thoughts during our time together, this is a little different format. After the sharing of the victory, report or some road to recovery, if someone has a question, they can put it on the thread. If not, we can always get back to them. Correct?
Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. We'll do that. So what I might do is we'll begin to take a pause here, and I'll move this way out, and you can bring your guest up front, and then at the right time, you can feel free to introduce, and if there's a question, we'll be glad to let you know. So I'll be moving this way. Good to see you. Hope to see you again. I'll be back in just a little bit.
Hi, I'm Emily. I'm from Shelbyville, and I'm a grateful person in recovery today.
So, Miss Emily, we're going to keep it kind of short, but because I've heard your story, and that's not to cut you off from that, but just because we're combining the meeting. So if you could share with those that are listening what your addiction was and where it took you.
Okay. My main addiction was heroin. It started from a prescription of pain pills when I was 15, and it just kind of evolved from there. You always cry. Well, I was in and out of rehabs, and I was up in Lafayette at a recovery house, and I relapsed, and I got kicked out twice. But the last time I went to stay at this guy's house, and I don't know how long I was there. All they could tell me is they couldn't find me for 3 days, and I overdosed. A guy dumped me off at St. Elizabeth Hospital and left me there. Took my wallet, took everything in it. I was brought in as a Jane Doe. He did eventually turn my wallet. But my mom and my aunt started calling around places to check on me because they knew something wasn't right. And they found me at St. Elizabeth, they transferred me to St. Elizabeth's IU Arnett. And that's where my mom found me, and I was on a ventilator. I was in a coma for those 3 days. And I woke up, and I had to learn everything all over again, from telling time to using a phone to tying my shoe. All kinds of rehabilitation that I had to go through to be where I'm at today. And I'm very grateful for that option. When I woke up, I didn't even remember my relapse. My mom was like, "You overdosed." And I said, "No, I didn't. I'm in recovery." And she said, "No, you overdosed." So a couple girls from the place I was at brought me meetings to my hospital bed. So when I woke up being and recovery was the only option for me. I didn't know anything else, and that's where I felt that I needed to be. That's where I felt comfortable. That was February 24th of 2016, and that is my sobriety date. And that's about the gist of it.
Okay. So, did anyone ever try to help you prior to that time of being placed in the hospital?
No,
But you were in recovery at that time? that you
yes, I kept the using to myself. And finally I ended up getting drug tested, and they were like, you're gone.
So what part in your addiction brought you to a place where you chose recovery?
I remember laying on my floor, searching for crumbs and meth, and I was crying, I was miserable, and I wanted to die. That's a misery that I never want to feel again in my life. And I made one phone call, and I had 5 women sitting beside my hospital bed because I was kind of like in a mess psychosis that I had to be sedated and stuff like that. And that was right before I decided to go to Lafayette. I told my probation officer, I said, listen, I'm gonna end up violating me, can I get some help? And she recommended me to my rehab up in Lafayette.
So I know how long you've been in recovery, and you just stated that, but how long have you been in recovery now?
February 24th, 2016. Well, I've been in the rooms for 7 years now. That's how long I'd gone in and out of rehabs and rehabilitation, and so it took me 3 years to get it right. Knock on wood so far.
And then what's helped you in your recovery journey?
My support system. I do attend a 12-step program, and that is my rock today.
What's your support system look like?
The ladies in my recovery meeting, my family is very supportive, and that's something that I didn't think I'd have 4 years ago, because I had betrayed all their trust. I was always doing the next wrong thing. Anything I could do to screw up my life, I would do it.
And then what's the biggest success you can share with us today about where you're at?
Oh, that's a good one. I've had a job for almost a year now. I bought a car last August, and these are things that was never thought possible 4 years ago. Like I couldn't tie my shoe. I couldn't. So for me to be on this journey today is amazing. That's by God's grace.
Do you have any words to share with other people?
If you're struggling, reach out for help. Just reach out for help somewhere. That's all I got.
What can you say about Better Life Brianna? So how did you come about attending our meetings?
A good friend of mine told me about the meetings, and she asked me to come with her, and I was kind of like, eh. Well, finally, I went with her to. It was the second meeting we had, wasn't it? I think it was like the second meeting we had, and she's stuck with me now.
What would you say about our chapter?
Oh, our chapter is very close. We look forward to Tuesdays. We all talk inside and outside of the rooms, and they're very good, dear friends of mine, and I'm glad that I've met these people.
Yeah, we're sometimes glad we met them. You have anything else you'd like to add or share?
No, I think that's about it. Just reach out for help.
Okay. Well, so Miss Emily, so she got a shirt last year, but with this year, so she gets our new shirt.
Nice.
So she gets hers.
Yay!
Sure. So this is our color. So
For-
Miss Emily, this
For
is
the record, I
yours.
did not want these colors, but I love the shirt.
We voted on it. I suggest people not do it. The facilitator just choose the colors. You're voting.
Yeah,
No voting.
it's okay.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much.
All right, now get off here.
How is the day and the time that we're in with coronavirus, how do you think it's impacting the recovery community? From the leader or the participant? Or Emily, if you want to feel like you're very welcome to come on up here and be a participant if you'd like. How do you feel like, Jess?
I sometimes feel like, I'm helpless, as far as helping the participants. Because when you're meeting with them every week, you're in their life, you know, and just sending them when they don't have a human contact, and you're just sending a text message, or you're calling them on the phone, it's not the same thing. And so as a facilitator, it's sometimes, because even when you are with them every week, sometimes you're wondering if what you're doing is helping them. And so when you're not able to meet with them, you're wondering, you know, if, you know, that text message or that phone call is even enough, or even if you send something into the mail to them, is that enough, you know? And so it's hard, and I've heard where some of them have, you know, during this in our organization, you know, our Better Life Creators Hope have lost their battle with the addiction, you know, that's happened. So it's so important that human connect is very important.
Well, with 42 chapters, and you can say from Marion County, Indianapolis, headed east, and then in Ohio, 42 chapters, it's a large community of people and the strugglers and those who are on top of their struggle. I think I've listened, I read the threads, I think anxiety, in general sense of anxiety is up. Maybe like, when is this gonna be over?
Right.
Can't wait to meet again. I'm hearing a lot of that. Love to meet in real
There's
time.
gotta be, to me, I don't know, but I would think that there's gotta be similarities with us being on lockdown like it is in somebody who's actually in addiction trying to get out of it. In my mind, there has to be similarities with that, feeling like, what can I do? How can I get out of this? I can't get out of this. I don't know, but in my mind, that's how not being able to get out and be around people and be around a good support system, you feel like you're drowning. And so, I mean, I equate it to somebody probably trying to get out of their addiction. How can I get out of this? I don't know, that's how I can kind of equate it.
So some parallels.
Yes, I would like for you to add.
Yeah, you can feel free to add, Emily. So some parallels, as Emily, you know, we're interactive tonight. You know, we don't have to keep moving, we can just scoot the chair over. And,
Here, how about you come sit?
yeah, we're good,
Okay.
We're gonna get that stool and keep going right there, Miss Gray. Thank you very much.
I'm a show stealer, I'm sorry.
We're good, we're good.
It's hard. We have a club in Shelbyville, and we're used to seeing each other every day, every other day, at the least. And for us to be out of our element is really hard. We're used to human contact, I guess, as a whole. And when you take that aspect, someone brought it up, Zoom meetings are amazing. I chair a meeting every Wednesday.
A Zoom meeting?
Yes, I do.
How do you like Zoom?
I love it.
Nice.
Yes.
Well, Brianna's Hope has a corporate membership into that, so as a result, anybody could, you know, be a part of a Zoom meeting if you wish to, and you're out there in viewer land. We have access to unlimited approach to Zoom, so feel free to network. So you love Zoom meetings.
I really do.
What do you like about them?
You can see people's face.
Okay, nice.
That's my big thing.
Nice.
When you're on Facebook Live, you don't get to see people's face and reaction, and it's just, and you can talk instead of just like us talking. A whole can talk. They have a raise hand button, and but for me, that is definitely has been my lifesaver lately. I haven't been on there as much as I need to be, but that's okay. But just the aspect of not being able to go socialize, because it's a fellowship, just like with ABLH. Did I say that?
Yes,
Okay.
you nailed it.
It's a fellowship, and a fellowship is part of recovery. So when you take that person out of it, it gets really hard. People have, I'm sure, relapsed because of this, because you don't, it's easy for me, when I was out there using, I would get bored. Being bored is my worst enemy, and in a time like this, it comes, I'm sure, with a little bit of depression and hardship. So, I do pray for those.
Let's talk about board for a minute.
Uh-huh.
Because I've working in the recovery community since the late '90s. How do you process board, and what priority do you give it that you must deal with it?
Oh, top priority, because it's very hard. I'm very fortunate to be an essential employee, so I get to work every day, but it's, like I said, the fellowship, you get bored and you go to the club and you talk to people. And like I said, when that
When you
elevator,
say club, explain that.
oh, I'm so sorry. We have a plug for a 12-step meeting in Shelbyville, and that's where a lot of us go. That's where we spend a lot of our time. And,
Thank you for defining that. A lot of our listeners wouldn't have known.
Yes,
So that's good, that's good. So you have to treat boredom, or being bored, as the highest priority.
yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
that's good.
Yep.
And the Zoom meetings, how do you feel like you're getting responded to in the meetings?
Very good.
How
Very
many
good
do you
response.
have that attend?
I've been in meetings, I've recently, been in one of the girls that took meetings in my hospital bed. She's been sending me links to Lafayette meetings, and there's like 15, 20 people. I know with the people in my area, we have like 7 to 10 that's watching at one given time. We are very fortunate to, have a meeting every night.
That's good,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
good. Now, since we have you up
It's
here,
good.
we know that you're
Uh-huh.
moving again right away.
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
to. In the road, on the road to recovery,
Uh-huh,
on the road to recovery, often there is a rock bottom.
yes.
You have to decide what that is and if that's your launching pad to the next level and then on to the road to recovery. How do you help people, since you probably have had that rock bottom, how do you help other people move from rock bottom and not making it a permanent zip code?
That's a good question. The main thing is reaching out. My support system is amazing. I talk to people every day. But to get people, you just have to have the willingness to do this. And you have to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. And,
Hold it, pause on that. You have to be sick and tired of being sick and tired.
yes.
We might need you to break down that glossary for us. What's it mean to be sick and tired of being sick and tired? But by the way, I like that. It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Just the chase that's an active addiction, the worry, the being afraid that you're not gonna be sick. It's just, how are you gonna get money? It's just an everyday struggle. And like I said in my story, I was crawling on my floor looking for crumbs. I don't know if I could get much more rock bottom than that, but I did, unfortunately. And this program welcomed me back with open arms, absolutely. And it's a good thing.
So tell me, as you moved into our chapter,
Uh-huh.
Shelbyville, Waldron, how have you grown there? As far as yourself, or how have you grown within that community? Uh-oh, we got the leader on, no, that's
That
good.
would be a good question for you.
Well, it will be, but we'd like your perspective, and then we're gonna, thank you, we're gonna tag her next. First you, and then we'll tag the leader, how's that?
Well, I forgot to mention, when I had my overdose, they diagnosed me with 2 brain injuries. One was from anoxic brain injury from lack of oxygen to the head, and the second one was from where my head hit the floor. So I blossom every day, and I just got a compliment from work. My supervisor was like, "You are so much better than you was like 7 months ago." Like, so I 4 years later, I'm still growing, and I'm still getting better every day.
Good.
Yeah.
So that's your boss saying,
Yeah.
did it come with the raise?
Well, no, I did get a raise like like 4 months ago though.
If he's gonna
But-
compliment you like that, it wouldn't hurt to
Yes.
have a little, no ticky, no laundry, you know?
Well, the thing about her is she doesn't give compliments very much, so when she does, it's pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fantastic. You can go ahead and have one of those
Yes,
bookmarks.
this is mine.
They're there to encourage people anyway. So from the leader, we're gonna go from one of the participants to the leader. How have you seen the Shelbyville Waldron, Brianna's Hope, you know, wrap around Emily and then grow?
What I can say is that each of the individuals that are in our chapter, sometimes they're stalemates, yeah. Sometimes you wonder if they're growing, and then the next time you see them, it's like, whoa, where did that come from? Emily, I think you can tell, she's not really bashful. So that's something that, is just a normal for her, is to be able to speak and to speak her truth about her recovery. I think some of the things Emily has learned in with our chapter, just ours, there's some things I try to push our participants to be better about themselves. Get them sometimes in uncomfortable scenarios we have, activities.
Like Facebook Live,
Well,
Zoom?
but there's some activities we do that kind of, that it makes you a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, you can get aggravated in those moments, and those are those moments, we'll talk about those. And I'm not throwing her in the bus.
You
maybe,
do have to tell a story.
But she had got aggravated one night about the activity we
You
were
have to
doing.
tell what the activity was. We
Yeah,
have to
you're
just-
gonna have to break down that activity. You chapter leaders that wanna have this, sounds like it's a winner, go ahead, break down what it
Break
was.
it down and
Break
tell
it
my
down.
reaction.
It's
I'll
two
tell
against
the reaction
one.
and you can talk about the activity, how about that?
The activity was, we were supposed to go up to someone, and she handed out like little mementos or whatever, and we had to hand it to someone else, and how did we do it, like
Okay.
accidentally break them?
And so I gave each participant that was actually in recovery, I gave them,
That's it.
like she said, a little memento. And I told them, you need to, whenever you're talking to the other person I pair you up with, you tell them how much this certain object meant to you, blah, 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 tell them it's part of your recovery journey, because most of us, I carry something from my brother, but I know a lot of people in recovery, they have something that someone has given them that is special to their recovery. So the other group of people that I was going to pair, I paired her with my husband and she wouldn't lie to him, so it totally blew that one out of the water. But, so other people I paired them with, I took them in a separate room and I said, so here's how this works. I gave them a memento, they're gonna lie to you, basically, and tell you this is their significant journey piece for their recovery. Take it and tear it up. And so but yet, these individuals didn't know that I was telling the other people, they're lying to you.
Okay.
You know, and so we incorporated that in, you know, as far as when they took these pieces and they actually tore them up, she didn't play into this very well. We had a couple other participants where they really made the people believe what they had was part of their recovery journey.
Okay.
And the people that were supposed to be tearing those objects up felt like so horrible about what they had done. And so it was to give people the notion of how someone feels when they're in addiction. They're not trying to be that way.
Okay.
But as far as we take things and we tear things up, we're not trying to be that way, even though they could be so important to somebody. You know, so, and there was more into it, but she got really aggravated about it.
I did not like the idea of tearing someone's stuff up. That was my main, and I blew it out of the water immediately. I was like, listen dude, this is what's going on, I'm not gonna do it. Because I felt that would really hurt me.
Recognize, we're a part of a mosaic, you know, there's a lot of smaller pieces that make up the large story of recovery. There's a place and a time, and people recover at their own station and place. And Brianna's Hope, in our 5+ years, we've had the joy of speaking to over 21,000 students in elementary schools, if you will, intermediate and high school, and we have been able to send over 1,000 people to rehab. So if if they don't have the funds or the means, we are the ones that take that upon ourselves, and we're blessed to be able to do that. So in the 5 years, we've made quite an impact. Maybe let's see with where we are today, if someone's out there and they would need to be an on-ramp to a referral to rehab, that hasn't slowed down because of where we are.
No.
And so just looking at you, if you're out there somewhere in Shelby County, Hancock County, beyond, if you need to reach out to Jessica Pickett or Marcus Dennis during these days, you can. We do have referral forms. We can launch you one electronically. If you need to get to another level of recovery so you can begin your story, we're here for that. We're here to be a blessing to you and an on-ramp to the next level. And how about you, if people come through there and wanted referrals to being a recovery coach?
So this is not something a Better Life Brianna's Hope as in a whole actually does. It something just specifically I brought it to Randy for our group because we weren't sending anybody to treatment. Knock on wood, that's a good thing.
You're probably getting somebody right now on the thread.
That is a good thing. But if we're not using the money that we have there for treatment, I wanted it to be utilized in some way for those that are actually in recovery to be able to help somebody else. And so the participants would actually have to be active members of our local chapter. My requirements with that they need to be in recovery a year.
Okay.
And then we could go further from that. But we'll help to pay for getting your training, getting your certification, and your testing. And so then you would be on your own after that because hopefully you could go into a job where they would be able to help assist with the rest of that. But that's
Good.
just something I felt like it was something we needed to do. If we're not using it for treatment, let's use it to send people to get their certification so they can reach other
Good.
people.
Is there a push in Shelby County for, you don't have to respond to all the pushes in life, is there a push to have a chapter on another night outside of Tuesday so your participants have somewhere else to go?
I've been asked that, yes, yes, I have been asked that, yeah.
I think we were hoping about a month when somebody asked if we would have a chapter on another night, and then, well, we're having chapters electronically, Zoom, Facebook Live, and through a lot of different mediums, but I do think in some ways we will as we're growing.
Well, I think the counties like Shelby County just recently hired, a couple of recovery coaches. And so that's within, the probation corrections department. And so they have them. So communities, I think, are starting to look at recovery coaching, peer recovery coaching in a whole different light than what they used to. Because not that somebody who's never been in recovery like myself can't help other people. But those that have actually been there and done that, and they can be more sympathetic, whereas in empathizing with people, because they know that struggle. I can only speak from a person who watched somebody struggle with addiction and watched them eventually die from it. I can only speak from that standpoint. I can't speak from the actual being in that act of addiction and knowing what those struggles are, whereas these people can, that are the recovery coaches that Shelby County has right now. And so that's a positive thing for Shelby County to have that. And I'm thankful that our probation department and our corrections department are actually starting to utilize these other resources. So that's a good thing.
And I think often addiction is a statistic. We analyze it, describe it, evaluate it, interpret it. But when you look over, my right shoulder and their left shoulder viewing in the middle of us, you put a face with addiction.
And a beautiful girl.
Yeah, Brianna as a daughter, she had grandparents and she had people in the community that loved her. When you put a face to that, it personalizes that. And as a result, I think it causes people to lean in instead of out. It's no longer data analysis, interpretation. It's a real person in a real family. And the family goes through it, whether you're active or, this, right? And the family as a whole unit in some way has to respond. And so we're glad to put a face with, our response and keep putting faces like Emily and others. We want a better life. We want to be there to help them now. So word of mouth, that's how they hear about you, okay?
Yeah, I've never heard anybody say, "Oh, I seen you on Facebook." It's always, "I heard I heard about you from this person or that person, or I've heard about you, I've heard good things about you. Not me, but the ABLBH. And so, and then there's some that were not aware that we had a chapter in Shelby County. They were aware of Rushville chapter, but they weren't aware of Shelby County. And so, I had posted some, so one of the things we've done this year for our chapter was, on the sobriety birthdays of our participants, is they each get an individual cake, whatever that may be.
Hold it. On your sobriety anniversary, you get a cake?
Each of the participants, when they reach that mark, their sobriety birthday or anniversary, whatever they want to call it, they get an individual cake.
Who makes it?
Well, the funny thing is, the first two I ordered those from Walmart, but I wanted them. They didn't give me exactly what they wanted. So, okay, the German chocolate, one was Grateful Dead, so I had, Walmart make a cake and colorful, then I got gummy bears and put it on it. So I actually yesterday sent out on some of the Facebook areas, I sent out a request for people in the area, I need a cake decorator. We're a nonprofit, we're not loaded with funds.
Sure.
Please take this into consideration, but when we do meet in person again, I have a person I need a cake for. And I got a ton of response from that. And so I was grateful for that. I even had a person reach out wanting to know how they could help our chapter, what they could do. And so, that aspect, because I've never really posted on other websites or and Facebook on other platforms, just our chapter. So that was something else. I appreciated the feedback on that.
Talking about cakes.
That's all the time we've got, folks, for today's episode of A Better Life, Brianna's Hope. Please stop in our Facebook page, Brianna's Hope in Greenfield chapter, or the Brianna's Hope Shelbyville Waldron chapter. Thank you for attending tonight's presentation. It's not the critic that counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again. For there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end of high achievement, and who, at the worst, if he fails, at least fails daring greatly, so that this place, or his place, shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory or defeat. Teddy Roosevelt.